the needle on the record.
Welcome to Wage Cucking with Jmo.
All right, guys. Welcome to yet another episode of Wage Cucking with Jmo. Today we have a cat, it appears, that has joined us for the podcast, better known as CL. CL, how you doing?
Doing very well. Yeah, I think I'm just generally pretty happy cat. So yeah, always positive. Yeah.
Yeah, but before we get started, let me know maybe a little bit of background of how you got into crypto, and also like where the whole cat meme originated from. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, sure. So I got in 2018. Actually, it was kind of because I was horny. There was this girl in my college was like, "Yo, come pull up to the blockchain club." I was like, "No fucking clue what the fuck that is." But her thighs were crazy, so like, I just followed her to the blockchain club. She's like talking about stuff I have no idea about. She told me XRP was a scam. That's all she said. So I was like, sure, I'll give you all my cash, buy me some crypto. So I bought like $2,000 of Bitcoin, and then like in a month it dropped from like $6,000 to like $3,000, and I was like, incredible. Like I don't know why, but like I kept buying. So that's how I got in, and then I realized that just holding Bitcoin is like makes me poor because like I went to 13K. I only went from like $5,000 net worth to like I don't know like 15,000 net worth, and I was like, yeah, this is not working out. I need to like start using like a ton of leverage. So yeah, that kept going. So that was how it started. The cat lore is like multi-layered, multi-dimension, much deeper. So when I was like one, my mom took me to a fortune teller, right? And the fortune teller was like, wow, like he's gonna be a great writer, which is like very true. My tweets are always bangers and hitting. But he said something else, which is like really worrisome for our like bloodline. He said he's gonna be like doing all right, like pretty good, but there's a massive issue. Like there's evil behind him, like trying to get him. But this is there's a counterattack. Like you can prevent this, right? And she's like, "Yo, of course I want to prevent it." And he's like, he needs like a very cute nickname. Then he will do really well. And then she was like, "Huh, all right." So she started calling me cat in Chinese, and then
This is when you were 1 year old.
yeah, one.
Wow.
So that's how it started. So and then like many years later, and this is like these two events are not even like related. I didn't even know like, or I like in my head I didn't even know this background story, nor was aware like why she was calling me a cat, whatever bullshit. And then one day a bunch of my friends were like, "Yo, this is like totally you. Like you should just beat this." And it was like some cat profile picture, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down. Why not?" So I became a cat, and then over time, like COVID happened. I had to put on the hazmat suit, virtually, because virtual COVID could hit you hard. Yeah, so I got this hazmat suit. I chose yellow, and then and then one day I was like, wait, hold up, like why am I that same identity as like what my mom's calling me? Is like I had this like insane realization like maybe 2 years later. So I asked her, and then she told me the fortune teller story. I was like very mind blown that it all bridged together. Yeah. So I think that's a full lore of the cat persona.
Are we going to see like an evolution of maybe get rid of the hazmat suit and add something else now that COVID is over, or not really a thing anymore?
No, I think it's very unique, like easily recognizable. Yellow is like an adorable color. I think it's very good. So like at this point, I don't think I'll change it. Yeah, and it's like if you want to like take off my like hazmat suit, maybe if you're a hot girl potentially, but yeah, otherwise.
What do the kids say these days? It's like the hat stays on, the suit stays on.
The suit, yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you started with just like a few $1,000s when you got into crypto, and it seems like you ran it up. I'd say mostly trading, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much yeah, I think not near 99% of my gains is like Bitcoin ETH, just trading
Uh-huh.
Bitcoin ETH. Yeah.
I see. I see. Do you have like a way you characterize your trading style, or just like your general outlook when you approach trading?
Um, I mean, this is hard to explain, but like there's always levels which well, at least to me, it's like relatively obvious. I watch people take positions, and like, and then you automatically in your head generate a mental liquidation profile of all these trades, right? So it's
Hmm.
like very simple. Like if they're on X20, it's 5% move. You know, it's X25, 4%. X10 is very popular, so like 10% moves usually never happens.
Hmm.
It always runs like few percent deeper, just like from these liquidations. Or just
Yeah.
like generally stop losses being triggered at like a pretty obvious like level. And then like, or at least when I used to trade, I try to like shove it a little bit more into that way. So like they get fucked a little bit harder, and then I sell into when they're getting fucked, and then yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
I've always had like an issue describing like I used to trade quite a bit like back in the day. I was pretty much like weekly or monthly or whatever it was on like the BitMEX leaderboard when BitMEX was a thing. And then like people would ask me what your trading style or like was, and it's like it's hard to describe. It's mostly just like being in there and then trading and a lot of like trial and error, and then you like looking at certain things and like having a feel and figuring out like you've seen this before, you've seen the situation before, and you sort of know like the eventual outcome.
Right.
But also, I think you mentioned like recently that like you don't trade nearly as much anymore. Is there a reason why?
Uh, a bit of everything. I think I didn't. I for a while I really loved knowing where price is going. It was like this strong curiosity and like urge to um, just want to be correct, just want to know why each moves are happening, and then like predicting it, and then put a bit of money on all my views, and then over time I'm not sure why it just doesn't hit the same. And on top
Hmm.
of that, there's one day I think I think almost the very last day of like December 2020. Yeah, last day of the year. I, I, I was just like, yeah, I had like a Aave bag, not too much. I had an SNX bag. There weren't like millions of dollars, but like, I just felt like the swing was so crazy. It just kept going up. I'm like, why am I still holding this shit? Like, or like all my trades are working and hitting. Like, I'm just gonna take a break for a bit, right?
Hmm.
And then once I took that break, it was so mind blowing how I didn't realize how stressed I was. I didn't realize there was like, clouds above my head.
Yeah.
Because I do it 24/7. When I sleep, I dream about it. I had
Uh-huh.
an ex. I like when I fuck, I'm actually thinking about the chart. Like there's like there's nothing else in the universe other than like me like trying to outplay someone on like BTC USD perps. So it was like just I don't know. I just couldn't like redo that ever again just because like
Yeah.
once that stress and everything like lifted, I was just like, yeah, I was just happy to live like this. Nothing's wrong. Yes,
Uh-huh.
this is great. This is what I guess originally fought for, and I'm just gonna not go as hard. Yeah.
Do you think it's more difficult to show profit as a professional trader now than it was, say, like in 2018 when you got in, or like around 2020 bull market, like around those times?
That's also hard. I think it's around this. It's not too much harder. I think like it's still very doable. Um, like I don't really trade too much anymore, but like I can still like, like take a quick look and like sometimes I have a very strong bias, and my hit
Hmm.
rate, at least mentally so far, like I have mental trades I'm taking and they're hitting pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know, I've ascended to a level. I'm just like, yeah, I'm mentally taking profit here. Like, oh, that was a
Yeah.
great trade. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I still got this totally. Yeah,
It's just
like,
it's like self validation, right? Like you're like,
yeah. So
if I
yeah,
made this trade, I would have been right.
yeah. Um, so yeah, just stuff like that. So I definitely think, yeah, it's. like the ETF coming in, it's not like it's completely a meme, at least in the moment, right? It's like the flows are so strong, you can like just trend follow. I don't know. There's so much bullshit you can do still. It's still a lot of it still trades similarly to like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like less percentages. Like like we hit like a bunch of traders like margin levels, and then like maybe we do like 3% instead of like 20%. Like we used to like BART nonstop, right? But like
Yeah.
so it definitely matured in that sense. But 3% is still so huge, at least to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
still like you can still show quite a bit of profit doing that.
yeah.
Were there any like on your way up? Were there any like Super Bowl memorable trades or positions you took that were they don't have to be like huge or anything, but that like you had like super high conviction on, or you were pretty proud of in retrospect?
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of the July August move in summer 2020, because I think I'm the only one on Twitter who's calling like we're gonna send so hard that Binance is gonna break, right?
Uh-huh.
And it literally broke. It was the biggest candle. I tweeted how it was like I give it like 1/3 chance we're gonna print the biggest like move in Bitcoin history, and I think it was a move from like 28 to like 40K on Binance futures, in like 2 minutes or something crazy like that. So I'm very validated by that. Like just that just means like I was correct about the market's positioning, and then like where the liquidation levels were, and like people just getting cascaded into like empty books. So many of them, in fact, that Binance goes down. Like these being correct, like, and then how I also said how like market will never short like Bitcoin this hard ever again, which we haven't seen so far. So yeah, so like that's like one thing I'm pretty proud of, I guess, but not really too many memorable trades. I actually fucked up that trade super hard just because I was holding the position for a month and it was just ranging and doing nothing. But I still managed to catch a decent move. So yeah, if you're up here, I'm happy. So yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I sort of have like the similar feelings about trading. Like I used to, I feel like I'm like way less hungry, I guess, now in order to like validate myself since I've just been in the space for so long and like had reasonable success. And like a lot of the times where I'm like have like bigger positions, like I leave them open when going to sleep. Like I'm not like you, and I don't think about the charts while having sex or anything. But
Oh, I don't
yeah,
anymore, but I also don't have sex anymore. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like I would there would like be some nights where like I go to bed at midnight and like wake up at like automatically wake up at like 2 or 3 a.m. and log onto my computer and check my position and stuff like that. Like I guess trading with size can be stressful at times, even if like I feel like I have like reasonable um like tolerance for the swings. Like I can remain non-emotional when like making a lot of money and also losing a lot of money. It doesn't affect me emotionally either way. But like I've had like a pretty long history of like gambling, playing poker, stuff like that, where it's sort of ingrained into me. But like I see that in trading, like a lot of newer traders where they like have like positions with conviction or something like that, and then it goes wrong or like something happens, and then they get like emotional and like that they can't really think logically, and they either add to the position or that they do something that they normally wouldn't do if they were like in their A game or in a state of mind where they're trading at like the best of their abilities. So do you see any like how do you describe like the best traders or the most optimal traders? Like what traits do they have that make them the best?
Yeah, basically what you said is I think amazing. Like just absolutely ascended mentally. Like nothing is gonna like you're never tilted, obviously, and you're not gonna
Mhm.
revenge trade, obviously. Like at least that to me is like very barbaric behavior. Like if you can't like even mentally control you're like discipline, like your mental state, if you can't control these, I think that's pretty barbaric, right? Like I don't know if that's like insulting, but like that's just how I view it. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had too much problem with discipline, but that's definitely improved a lot as I traded over time. Yeah, I think mental is definitely the most important. Because if you can think clearly, then you're going to have good risk management. You're going to think how much you're going to put on, where you're going to cut, where you're going to like just eat the loss. So yeah,
Mhm.
just stuff like that. And just accepting you're wrong is so critical too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I respect people who can accept they're wrong so much, just because I feel like the average dude in finance is like always like the big dick, like I don't know, like Ferrari, like it's always like very high T. Not
Mhm.
saying that it's low T, but I think it's more mentally ascended if you can like accept where you're wrong, right? So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Like figuring out where you're wrong, and like more importantly, why what you did was wrong, or why your thesis was incorrect, or what happened that like invalidated what you were doing, and then learning from that experience rather than yeah, like the meme where the guy's like
Yeah.
pointing in the
Oh.
mirror, like
Yeah.
the market is wrong. I'm not wrong. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I know it's a meme, but it describes like a lot of people in crypto, right? Like they have like conviction over certain things, and then like a lot of it becomes invalidated, or like circumstances change, and they're just like unwilling to accept they're wrong, and increase their conviction, or just sort of stubborn about it. And I think
Hmm.
that's like a pretty big downfall of like a lot of people trading crypto, is that they aren't like willing to accept that like you lose quite a bit, and like like when you lose, you either you either like blame the market or blame others, or you just figure out like what went wrong and how you can adjust in the future to lose less.
Hmm.
Do
Yeah.
do you guys, both of you, do you always have a plan? Like, if this level breaks, if this news event happens, or if the reaction isn't what I expected, either on on social media or on the chart, do you
Yeah.
do you plan that out? Do you write it down, or do you just like uh, or go full? Is it George Soros who just wakes up and is like, my back hurts, I'm going to close this position?
For me specifically, I feel like I'm one to not really like I do have a plan like going in, but like the plan changes if like information changes, and I think that's important. And then also I'm one not to be tied to like any of my positions. Like if I think stuff is going wrong, I'll get out like as soon as possible. I'll eat the loss, and I won't really think twice about it. Um, yeah, like other than that, I think like roughly going in, like you have some sort of plan, like some sort of levels that you're looking at. But then like I think crypto especially is one of those markets where there's just like so many factors that go in, and you can't go in like with an exact plan of like my thesis is invalidated if like the price hits this level, but then like in a day like the whole landscape could be completely different. Like there could be new news, or like new people like within the trade, or like open interest goes up, stuff like that. That you sort of need to adjust your expectations in real time.
Yeah. As for like levels breaking and like reactions, I guess I do have some of these. Like let's say if I assume the market is like super shorted, but like if we take a high and like it's like a very weak, like very few amounts of shorts coming out, I might have to doubt my assumptions, stuff like that. But generally, I also don't do any news at all, just because I'm clicking on the like literal retail interface on like Binance or some shit. I'm not gonna like I'll compete these algos or whatever like popping off in like 200 millisecond whatever, right? So yeah, I don't ever, so I don't do any like information stuff. Um, yeah, there's been a few times where I'm just like literally trading, and then CPI comes in, and I'm like, what the? I didn't know, which is like absolutely like retarded of me, I guess. But that happened a few times, definitely. Um, yeah, and otherwise, yeah, I just do my thing, I guess, just like low information, more chart and more like like I don't know, momentum trend, like just right. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
and definitely, I don't take notes either. I guess you can do whatever you want. Like everyone's a bit different. I don't think there's like one way to like win, right? It's kind of like probably any other like money making thing. Like there's definitely like a lot of ways everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I wanted to move on and talk a bit about some other topics. First one I have written down is Friend.tech. I remember like this was a while ago, but you and I had differing views on the outlook of Friend.tech. You were like pretty bullish at the time, and I thought it was.
Pretty yeah,
Um,
pretty bearish.
I wouldn't say I was bearish, but like I didn't really see the upside, especially like if like to me when I look at projects in crypto, like I look at like the proprietary aspect and then like the community aspect, and
Hmm.
it just seemed like at the time, like first there wasn't like much proprietary, like it didn't seem like a platform that couldn't have been cloned like very easily, and then like if you look at the activity on it, it seemed like it was almost like an echo chamber of people just like buying each other's keys, communicating with each other and stuff like that, with like a few like big thought leaders, and then I feel like these things in crypto, like I've seen in the past, where like you have this promised payoff of like like the points or the whatever getting paid off, and then you have sort of like the thought leaders like profiting on the followers, and then the whole thing falls apart. So at the time, what was your thesis or what was your outlook on Friend.tech, and has it changed today?
Yeah, I think it's all pretty obvious. It's changed a while ago. But I think initially I think I was much more excited about signaling via key purchases and sales. Um, Although it never traded anything like how I guess so I fantasize about a lot of things. I think, and I think I wished it was something like, okay, we tell each other who we like and don't like via buying and selling keys, right? And how that could signal to like people who aren't as in the I don't know, this entire like CT cabal, like who's a better actor, who's like not as good of an actor. Although the main problem with Friend.tech was it actually had no true negative signaling. Um, and negative signaling had to be done in an anonymous way, in my opinion, just because otherwise it's just extremely like aggressive, right? And I don't think people
Yeah.
are uh, like open enough to do that. I think generally that kind of stuff people tend to be a bit shy, even if like I don't know, you you're like an MMA fighter, you're not gonna go online and be like, I hate this guy, literally like click this button, like right, like
Mhm.
so you So I think that was one issue I didn't realize very early on, which was like lack of negative signaling and how there was only positive signaling. And
Mhm.
then that kind of turned into more of a Ponzi real quick. And then I guess after like 2 3 months, I realized like, okay, this is actually not as cool as I thought, or like I was just like I was fantasized. I was like having this fantasy of the thing being something else, which is like totally not w- right. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think I didn't like mention about like price or like the airdrop going into like the token event. Then
Mhm.
didn't tell anyone to buy it. I just like averaged out real quick in like one day. People are like, you're retarded. Um, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. So
yeah.
besides like the negative signaling, is there anything else like in retrospect that you would like change about the platform to make it more more useful, or have a better outlook in your eyes?
I mean, like, just claiming the airdrop was like the entire community was like having AIDS from like trying to even like get it to work. So I think that's pretty
Hmm.
bad. Because like UI is like very critically important because like I think maybe not enough people or brands or just like projects think about this, but like your experience with something is like very critical, right? So if you have a negative experience or that's a negative emotion about this thing, then you are literally more likely to don't like not want their thing, which is like the token, whatever it has to do with it, right? So, but if you have like positive emotions about something, you're more likely to buy the thing. It's like how like marketing 101 is, right? So it's like the
Mhm.
fact that the app lagged so hard um, was definitely a problem, I think, in my opinion. And then although they try to fix it, I like it was always kind of a thing, right? Especially when we all try to use it. Um, and I think it's complete. Otherwise it's a completely like okay platform. I don't think he ever meant it for it to be reputational, and I think I just fantasized about it being that because
Mhm.
us buying and selling keys were a public like display of
Yeah, yeah.
liking, right? So, but I think Racer really wanted it to be kind of like a fan community thing. Like, oh,
Uh-huh.
you think Hasaka's a go? You think I'm the go? You think not me? Sorry, I never provided any value. Like, if you thought Kobe was a go, you buy
Yeah,
like two of their keys and ask them like trying to ask them nice questions. They will reply. So that's like real value. Um,
yeah.
and there's definitely a market for that, but like definitely not like uh whatever billion, 5 billion, 10 billion. I was like
Mhm.
mentally jacking off about, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think the real bull case is what you described, because with the whole social aspect of crypto, is, it's there every day. Like crypto Twitter is just like nonstop 24/7. But then
Hmm.
like it's difficult to filter, the actual people who you should be following versus the ones that like have real following. So the key system of like you see people you respect and what keys they own. It's sort of like a signal that gives validation to people, especially like the smaller accounts, because I think in crypto Twitter there are quite a few smaller accounts that aren't as well known but are extremely sharp and put out extremely good content. And then
Hmm.
there's just like tons and tons of accounts that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers, that are just like complete garbage, either paid shills or just spewing nonsense, or
Yeah,
like
or absolute
very
shit
low
posts.
level, yeah, or very low level information. But if you're like, if you don't really know what you're looking for, or what you're looking at, or how to interpret information, like especially if you're new to crypto, like this is like your first or second cycle, it's sort of difficult to read through the content on crypto Twitter and determine like who's full of shit and who's not full of shit, unless you and Friend.tech sort of has a system that, like, if I'm trusted, or people know that I'm like a sharp trader, or I'm good at like certain things within the space, and I'm buying keys of these people that are like less known, it gives validation to them, and then they buy keys of other people, and then it's just sort of like a inherent trust and validation system that
Hmm.
makes a lot more sense than just like net followers and net following on Twitter.
On Frentech, with the pricing it had, it seemed to me like that made it a bit difficult because if I'm JMO's fan, so I buy the key. I'm one of the first key holders, and I ask him questions. He answers. That's working for me. But for fan number 1,000, has to buy the 1,000 key. It becomes so expensive that there's don't you get this natural cap on your audience?
Yeah, but I guess if you have 1,000 fans, that's he is that expensive, kind of. I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
but
sort of
yeah, I mean,
justifies the
it's hard to
valuation.
justify. Yeah, it's hard to justify like all of this, I guess. But I think the model was mostly okay. At least I thought
Mhm.
so. Especially if you are not in it for profit, right? Because like once you buy I don't know, there was like some certain level of price. Like it takes like exponentially more buying to like for you to even be able to get out break even. So
Mhm.
I think that part was good in that it prevented speculation or like way too much of that. But it was also obviously very like extractive because people did try to like fuck around. They found out really hard, right? Like
Yeah.
all the fees were just like
High,
yeah,
very high. Did you
yeah.
guys sell your own keys? Did you dump on your fans?
No, I still have like I don't know 50 ETH or like 30 at least. Yeah, probably around 50-ish ETH in the thing. I did try to like play it like I guess like in like I bought a bunch of like smaller accounts, and I bought multiple keys if I like, stuff like that for the smaller accounts. I actually self sniped 70 keys because uh yeah, because I knew like people were gonna snipe it, and then like I didn't sell that because that just like looks really bad. And so you don't need a couple ETH, so it's okay to just like put it there. Um, yeah.
Well, one thing I really like about the Friend.tech system is that everything is pretty transparent. So, I mean, you can see like who's like, for example, I know there are a bunch of people that had a large following that promised to share, like the airdrop with their key holders, and then you can see like which one of them's actually shared, which one of them's are just like dumping, which one of them are doing what. So it like because normally like on Twitter, if you have like a large account shilling like a low cap cryptocurrency, you don't know like their entry, like if they're dumping on you, like when they're accumulating stuff like that. But like specifically with like these Friend.tech accounts, like everything is pretty transparent, so you can see like who's telling the truth, who's lying, who's full of shit, and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple notable accounts that promised to share that airdrop, and yeah, I will not go further on this topic. Yeah,
You can check it. You can check it on the Explorer, right?
yeah. Check the chain. Ask Zach
Check the
XBT.
chain.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
No, it's all good. All right, let's move on a bit. The next thing I had on the list was wanted to talk a little bit about Blast because I believe you're an investor there, and I feel like this is a more broad discussion, not necessarily pertaining to Blast, but about like the either like layer 2 or protocol points meta in general. So like for the listeners or watchers who don't know, Blast was in Ethereum L2, which had like a pretty prominent points program, like even before the chain existed. Like I want to say like $2 to $3 billion were locked in the multi-sig with promising points, and then only recently has I think within the last few weeks, like the Blast token was released. So do you have any thoughts on like this current meta where people are basically in lieu of yield farming or like specifically allocating like certain percentages you're getting from yield through like fees or through a native token, you're just like given these speculative points, and then like you're sort of speculating on their value at the end of the point cycle. Do you think this is like a good thing, and if it'll continue in the future?
Yeah, I think. Wait, actually, before we talk about this, can we also include like a? Can we also talk about life? Because I actually want to know you better because I don't know anything about you actually.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We can go after this. But yeah,
okay.
For point systems, I guess. I mean, they obviously work, right? Like it's not like Starbucks and every like I don't know like Chase like any airline are doing points because it doesn't work. Like it clearly works. And it's like yeah, it just works. It's very simple. We all like want to get points for whatever reason. It's like crazy, but that's how our brain works. And I guess yeah, Tation was pretty early onto that, like the blur, right? So I've always thought of him as like one of the greatest like Ponzi builders in the space. And on top of that, it tend to come with something like slightly new, so it's like pretty good. And like I just had to invest because he like he literally stole OpenSea from OpenSea, so it was like a no-brainer at the time because wasn't much other deals. And
you were mainly investing in like the person rather than the general idea. You just believed in him.
A bit of both. I thought, I mean, like, why not? Why not have all the funds there, like, earn some yield? It makes everyone more money, right? It's like it goes. It's way more 3-3 than like every other. Parking your funds anywhere else, right? So I thought it was like decent enough of a idea to go for.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. So what are the topics of life you wanted to talk about? I think outside of crypto, like one of the interests I have is like investing in real estate, just because
I thought you were going to say
like
cooking.
also cooking. Um, but I think investing in real estate is like really interesting to me because
Mm,
it's an asset that like you can use like as opposed to crypto. Like you can never really use any of your like it's mostly just if I'm trading or something, or if I'm holding spot and then like the number goes up, I'm still staring at the same computer screen and like the number is just
Mhm.
bigger. But like the
mm,
my life overall like doesn't really change. And then to me it's just like a pretty reasonable hedge on everything, just like
mm,
in the doomsday scenario where all crypto goes to zero, or if I get like hacked, or like
Mm.
I lose my private keys, or
mm.
if suddenly like Binance and like Bybit and wherever else I'm trading go insolvent and I lose all those funds, I still have something that like so some tangible assets
Mhm.
that
So
yeah, like other than that, like I don't know, it just stuff like that just interests me, just because like I feel like I have a much different view on money and like assets than like a lot of people. Like making more money doesn't necessarily make me want to like, go out and just ball out and like be popping
mm.
bottles at the club, or like spending all this money on whatever. But like I still have this. I always thought about like the like the general utility of money, and like how I utilize my funds to be as as useful as possible
Mm.
to what I want in life, and like what I'm looking for. And like I think real estate is like one of the bigger things that like I've become interested in. My thesis on like real estate, especially high end real estate, is that one of the limiting factors in the world is the availability of like the underlying land, or like the locations that are high value. Like you can always build more real estate in undeveloped areas, but like there's just like certain like areas like like really nice beachfront property, or like a really nice like mountain property, and
Mm,
like high end like ski areas and stuff like that that are
Mm.
limited not by like limited by land itself, like rather than like the cost and the development and anything like that. And I
mm,
like the general thesis is like I value that like a lot more, and I also see these markets. I wouldn't say not necessarily recession proof, but they trade at like a different frequency than like the rest of the market. So like for example, if there's like a housing crisis, or if like there's some sort of like global macro event, like the lower end real estate may follow suit and like trade relative to that. But I feel like there's always going to be like, even if we go in like global recession or something like that, there's always going to be like elite wealthy people
mm,
in the world, and like the as an asset, these assets are always going to be limited based on like availability, so that
mhm.
they'll maintain their value through whatever happens in the future. Yeah, so that's I think that's generally my thesis when like looking at this stuff. Just like, and a lot of the times, like a lot of the stuff seems like overvalued, but then like you look at historical prices, and like they just like go straight up, and
Mm,
like it's kind of crazy. Like the thing I equate it to is like owning like a major sports team, like a European football team, or like an American like basketball team, something like that. Is that like the valuations have gone like I know you guys probably don't follow this, but the valuations has gone up to from like I want to say like a couple hundred million, like in the 2000s, to like 3, 4, 5 billion. And it's not because like they're more valuable, or because they're generating more money. They are generating a little bit more money, but the main thing is like they almost represent like a status symbol for
mm,
like elite wealthy people. So that they're willing to pay like a huge premium anytime one of these teams goes on market.
It's just like owning
Basically,
art.
Mm.
It's like
what?
owning some. Is it like owning some a
I
sports
think it's
team?
a
Is it
bit.
like owning some old, extremely expensive piece of art, like some Picasso thing? You know, they're not making
I
more.
think it's like a bit different than that because like for example like in the U.S. like teams like the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Lakers like they have certain valuations, but they'll never sell for those valuations just because the owners will never sell
Mm.
basically. Like if you're like a multi billionaire, the value of having like 10 or $20 billion more, like selling your team at a huge premium, isn't as valuable as just like for example owning the Los Angeles Lakers. So like when any celebrity or any any of your network is in LA, you can just take them and this is your team.
Mm.
The stuff like that,
Yeah.
Mm.
that like intangible value
Mm.
is
And
I feel like quite more a lot more valuable than like the actual monetary aspect. So
and
I-
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
and then if it's like if you're going to impress your friends, right? Then that scales with how much money you have. So for
Yeah,
somebody
Yeah.
for somebody whose net worth is much higher, the value of being able to take somebody to your Yankee Stadium
yeah,
is much more higher.
yeah.
So
Mm.
for somebody with a lower net worth to buy it
Uh-huh.
becomes unreasonable.
Do you have any
Yeah.
like purchases you've made from like your time in crypto where like you started with a few $1,000s and you ran it up to quite a bit that any like aspirations for like the end game basically if you have like a really good year in trading or if you're doing really well
Mm.
like what you would do with the funds.
I've. Uh, such a hard question, but I don't
Yeah,
think I've had like too much like giga trillionaire dreams or like what I'm gonna do with it. But um, yeah, no, I have no clue. Honestly, I'm just gonna like do the same thing because like it's pretty nice so far, and I'm very content with my current although not extremely definitely not hyper wealth at all. Yeah, pretty happy with it. But I mean, like, you have to put it in my hands for me to like start thinking about it. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you ever get this thought that's like your life doesn't necessarily change that much like if you know continue to do really well, like the marginal utility of the future money that you're going to make doesn't really change like what you want to do in life or like your day-to-day routine, because those are some thoughts that like I have quite a bit like when because there's like I think there's quite a bit of opportunity cost for just like working all the time versus like going out and doing whatever you want. And obviously if
Mm,
I work all the time I can make more money, I can have more success, I can be better at what I do. But then
mm-hmm,
like if I'm at a point where like I have like the bankroll, I have the funds to live my life the way I want it, and like even if I like double or triple that, like I I'm still going to be just like shit posting on Twitter or like sitting around on my computer. It's not like I have aspirations to be shit
right.
posting on like on a private jet or something. That doesn't really add that much
Yeah,
like value
yeah.
to what I'm doing.
Right. So I guess one thing would be like, well, I've seen I have hyper wealth, yeah,
Hmm.
continue to live in hotels, but actually I'm not sure. But like, I guess I want a private chef, so when I wake up, there's like food. I want
Hmm.
like extremely healthy food. Because
Uh-huh.
I am like just very into being like healthy. I've not had a full glass of like sugar beverage for 9 years. Um,
Oh wow.
I don't even eat birthday cakes at all. Actually, I've made like
Hmm.
two exceptions this year for or one exception, like here and there, but like it's like you can count them in one hand, right? That's how little sugar I consume. Um, and like I always have broccoli, like either broccoli or berries almost every day. That's just my vitamin C, fiber, like antioxidant intake. Just like extremely healthy. And then like
Yeah.
after, and I always eat that first, because when you eat that, like it, and then you have like your favorite foods. Like say I'll have a pasta, it's a little bit of carbs, not too crazy. Um, but then but because you ate the fiber first, you actually digest that way slower, and then like your glucose spike is like way softer. Just stuff like that. Like I care a lot about my appearance. My skin is in amazing conditions. Every girl would be jealous. Uh, and then I guess I also have like a bunch of like somewhat philanthropic thoughts. I know this word is like giga curse now because of Sam Bankman, but like
Uh,
there's
that
like a bunch of
motherfucker.
like there's a bunch of like content creators like I really like respect, just because like you can clearly tell like, oh, this guy or this girl, like they are completely not selling out, like right, they're like say producing content purely like the amount of passion they have for say a video game or like whatever they're doing is like so great that they just do that, and that they have no view about like no sense about like be doing business, or like how this doing this or that can make me more money. So like
Mhm.
if I can like support more of these people, like it makes me really fulfilled, I guess.
Yeah.
um just because like I guess I do follow a bunch of these people, and like I just think they're very cool. I'm very big into like expression, virtual expression, or just like expression in real life. I dress well. um but yeah, just like stuff like that, I really respect like people who do that online too, like um
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah, stuff like that, if I can support more people, that's like very awesome.
Uh-huh.
um but yeah, I think living in hotels is like an amazing lore and like meme. I like I as I said, I'm like someone who like live in a fantasy, right? So like
Yeah.
I just want to do this forever. I want to stay young forever. So like, which is why I do have all these routines.
Hmm.
Although I've done like few lines of coke before, I don't think that's like really bad for your aging, right? So like, like
A few lines before.
like it's all delta neutral. Like I had a lot of broccoli hours before. No, I'm kidding, but like.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually, definitely. Like take other stuff for like preventing like higher blood pressure if I do stuff like this. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely hedged. So yeah, I do care a lot about like this kind of stuff, but I also
yeah.
value a lot about like having fun with my friends. Like emotions is another thing. I'm a big maxi elf. Yeah. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was gonna ask you if you're gonna have steak and broccoli. Do you eat the broccoli first also?
Yeah, I literally eat the entire plate of broccoli. Like it's like a massive plate. I will literally finish it before starting the steak. It's like it's pretty easy to me because I guess I made it a habit, and just like I'm a trader. I have the discipline to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna try this tonight.
yeah.
Are there any like health influencers that you respect or that you follow?
Oh, okay. This might be like disrespectful, but I do not respect any other trader. I do not respect any like whatever influencer. Just because like I'm gonna just like absorb the information and like a lot of readings. I love doing readings, and then just like or
Hmm.
trading. Like I always have my own view, my own system.
Hmm.
Whenever I listen to others, like it worsens it actually makes it worse for me. So just like I know like if you eat fiber before a real meal, you will have like a slower glucose spike. This is like proven like
Yeah.
countless times, right? Like just stuff like that is like
Hmm.
basically are facts, proven nonstop. Like I will do them.
Hmm.
So I don't have a lot of influencer like
So like
in.
the stuff you're looking at is like more on the lines of like peer reviewed studies and stuff like that, rather than like other people
Yeah,
telling you what's good and what's not good.
yeah. The scientific term of like these like the the impact of a meal is called like postprandial spike. The first time I read it, I had
Yeah.
to like Google like 18 words out of 30 words in the first paragraph. But it's honestly like
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
crazy. Like you open a paper, yeah, first minute you have to Google half the shit, but then you understand everything, and then you keep going. Right? It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
honestly not
I
as
used
scary as
to.
people think.
I
Yeah.
used to like years and years ago. I was like a biochemistry major, and like I worked for a few years at like a pharmaceutical company, like doing research. So
Oh wow.
I read through like quite a few of those like back in the day, and a lot of them are like very tedious to get through, to say the least. But it's sort of like I feel like that art of reading through the research yourself rather than just like I mean kids these days I feel like they get their scientific information from like TikTok or like their source of information is within these like 10 to 15-second clips of like other people telling them what's correct and what's incorrect without like any like reasonable like validation or like with peer reviews, stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me, but maybe it's like a sign of declining society and like where we're going. And I don't know. You have any thoughts on that? Like, I feel like
Yeah,
it's not great
I
for.
absolutely have thoughts on like my biggest two beliefs about education is like one, we need to teach about online fraud because the
Yeah,
economy is literally going so virtual. Like we have Amazon now. We didn't have it 15 years ago. We have eBay. Like all these things are popping off. So much like skin trading and like obviously crypto. And then people are getting all these emails that are like, oh, you're a student, and then like I don't know, some school shit get hacked so easily, and then like you get like
yeah.
a fraudulent mail about your I don't know school deposit. Like they need to learn that, right? And then
The,
another
the
thing is
the scammers are getting like really sophisticated these days. Like a lot of the scams I see that are executed, they're well thought out, like very well planned. To like even for me, looking at them, like saying like, wow, this is like pretty impressive what they're doing.
yeah, like you already got rugged on FTX, and then a fake claims email come out, you get rugged again. Like so it's just like, and it's just not crypto exactly. It's like so much, it's like everywhere, right? And then
Yeah.
another big belief I have is everyone needs to learn about research methods, which is like
Hmm.
so this course in college teaches you how to research information for yourself, right? But
Hmm.
like it's just like this general idea of like trying to obtain correct like information for yourself is just so important. Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like many people don't really get to learn that, or like, yeah, they just don't, right? So it's like these two topics are like very critical in modern day that I think like no school teaches about it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, or it's not like a critical course, right? But like it's like it has to be like a foundational course in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing I'd add to that is I think just like general financial literacy is not taught in schools, and like I feel like that's absolutely ridiculous. Just being able to, like manage your money, which is like might be the most important thing you learn when you're younger. I mean, like in schools these days, they're teaching stuff about like world history and like geology and just like stuff that you really don't need to know in life. Even like a lot of like the mathematics that you learn in like let's say like middle school or like advanced high school. Like I can't think of like the last time I really used stuff like trigonometry or like
Yeah.
calculus or like differential equations. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I've
I've
not
been
seen
like
an octagon in real life in like 8 years. Yeah. Like
yeah,
it's like,
yeah, yeah,
it's like,
exactly. So, like,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like the education system should, you know, be focused towards like the actual useful information that like adults need to have to like live their life. And like one of the basis of that is like if you have money, what to do with it, how to protect it, how to invest it, how to like figure out risk and stuff like that. Like if you're there's a huge difference of people, like whether their risk appetite is like investing in index funds with like the money they make in the year for like a 2 to 5% like yearly gain, or like degenerates like us that are willing to gamble with like large
Everything.
amounts of leverage
Wait,
and
wait,
Yeah.
more
stuff
than
like that.
everything, yeah.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
than, yeah, way more.
Way more than everything.
yeah, exactly. But just like a fundamental understanding of like both those sides, and like an ability to look at your own finances, look at the money that you have, look at the opportunities you have with your money, and make like an educated guess, or just certain allocations of I'll put X amount in like these risky assets, but I'll have like Y amount and like a more stable asset, and that should set me up nicely for the future. I feel like that stuff like that isn't taught at all, and like even for me, like I sort of had just to learn that on the go, just like trial and error. Like I definitely, when I first got into crypto, I definitely like lost a bunch of money doing stupid shit that I probably shouldn't have done. But like in retrospect, it's just a learning experience. Like you look back and you sort of learn from the experience and then try to adjust in the future not to do it.
Yeah, I had no like when I finished school, like I didn't apply to a job. Like I'm not sure why, and then all my friends are like, "Yeah, I'm going to this. Oh, I got an internship to begin with, but it's Intel and or like some shit." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, cool. I had nothing to say." And yeah, and then just traded this Ponzi and like had to learn everything on the go. Never took a single finance course. Like, yeah, definitely, yeah, I had to. Yeah.
Yeah, but before I got into like, I was mainly just started trading like the XBT perpetual, the Bitcoin perpetual on BitMEX. Before that, I did not take a single like course on finance, or I didn't know like a lot of the terms that people were using, stuff
Yeah.
like that. I was
Yeah.
basically just clicking buttons. Like I think
Yeah.
number go up, I long. I think
Yeah.
number go down, I short. Like it
Yeah.
just very elementary stuff. But at the
Hmm.
time, it was it worked. I guess. I mean, it is what it is. But like a lot of the stuff, like you're not really taught. You just sort of like pick up with experience, and then like I feel like the same way with I talk with a lot of like traditional finance people that get into trading crypto, and they try to they're successful like trading normal markets, and then they get into crypto, and a lot of the concepts like don't transfer over. Like some concepts do transfer over, but a lot of the
Hmm.
concepts don't transfer over that well. Just like the volatility, the fact that like the markets are 24 hours, the fact that like liquidity is like fragmented versus like everything on like a centralized order book
the
and stuff
the
like that.
obscene counterparty risk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the technical hurdles for like like self,
Yeah.
especially if you want to like a lot of the perp volume is moving
Yeah.
to decentralized exchanges on like
Yeah.
layer two. Just you have to figure out the tech hurdles for not only self custody but like
And
bridging
yeah, and
assets
then
over there, stuff like that.
yeah, and then one day you're trading the most popular product, the BTC USDT, and then Tether DPEX 3 pigs, three
Yeah.
bips, and then you're yeah, and then you're scared. Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. Yeah.
Yeah, you're panic selling your tether, thinking it's going to go to zero and snap back. And I'm on the other side of the trade, buying up your tether at like 95 cents, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
good times. So we actually didn't we do a podcast episode on that when like it wasn't
We
tether, it
did.
was USDC.
We used to see.
USDC defect. I was just like
Yeah,
telling
it was
everyone to
the
so like I ran the numbers and I just like told everyone to just buy up like the idiots dumping their USDC because they think like was it like or Silicon Valley Bank was
Mm.
insolvent.
I did actually panic sell. It was pretty bad, but I actually I just bought a spot instead, so I was just like up a few percent and versus it was kind of like okay, I guess. Yeah.
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 But I'm
Before,
retarded. Like I don't know anything about signature banks. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go and fucking Ethereum, bro. Like fuck this shit.
yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I remember the day that happened, and I was like digging through like the circle documents, figuring out like how much money they actually had in like these banks, and like exactly what impact like they if the bank didn't return any of their money. And yeah, to me the situation was like super ridiculous because like
Mm.
I think I ran the numbers and like I valued USDC at like I'll say like 97 cents if the bank literally returned like zero no money on their balance, and like the Circle didn't like dig into their profits or dig into their treasury to cover the hole. So
Mm.
that was like worst case scenario. And then like I don't think like historically speaking, like when banks go insolvent, it's not like FTX. I mean, it's not like when like a crypto exchange goes insolvent or something. Like banks go insolvent when they're probably like like 2 to 5% off like what their holdings should be, and they
Mm-hmm.
can't pay out or something like that, and then they experience a bank run. So it's never like if you have a bank that goes insolvent, it's never going to be like you're losing like 50% of your deposits, unless it's like some Venezuelan C tier bank that you're
All right.
depositing funds in.
All right.
But
All right.
yeah,
Learned something new today. If my bank's insolvent, I lose 3%. Confirmed by the real estate
you
GCR.
actually you actually don't you actually don't lose anything if you have an American bank, because like FDIC insurance covers like a majority of it, and yeah, in general, like it's very very hard to lose money like in a bank account. That's the one thing that traditional finance has going for it, is
Mm.
it's very easy to lose crypto like everywhere. Like they're
Yeah,
just like you're just like moving crypto
extremely.
left and right. But
Yeah.
if you just put your money in a bank account, like it doesn't really matter which bank. It's mostly safe. And if it's not safe, it's like not safe by like a few basis points. It's not safe by like 50 or 100% of your balance.
Okay. Oh, also as real estate GCR, I was gonna ask about like houses, right?
Yeah.
Like for like like mid tier homes, right? Like, because I'm not like elite, like hyper
Uh-huh.
wealth, whatever. Like, if I buy like am I buying the top right now? But like the shit only goes up, right? Like I'm literally
Uh,
staying in hotels as like a funding way to like shore housing, and it's not working out for me at all. So like,
like okay, so like I think my advice to you would be like if anyone's like watching this is definitely not financial advice.
Mhm.
But like people that invest in real estate as an investment rather than just wanting to have the real estate,
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily work out, and it's probably not like an effective use of their capital.
Mhm.
So like if I were you and looking at like buying a place, I wouldn't care about like the market cycles at all, because I mean if you're like a crypto trader, you're in like crypto, the fluctuations of like the real estate price from like a market price you purchase that, and then what you can sell it at within like 5 or 10 years, it isn't going to be nearly as impactful as like your daily swings of just trading or holding your crypto. Like the volatility isn't necessarily there, and then
Mhm.
there's like quite a few costs and like quite a few like annoyances
Mhm.
with owning real estate. So like I think the advice is like if you're looking at it as an investment, or if you're concerned if like the price goes up, or if you're buying the top, then just don't buy. Like it's not worth it. But if there's like a place that you would utilize effectively that you like
Mhm.
just buy it and keep it and be indifferent about the price, because the price fluctuation is it's like in the worst case scenario, it's not going to trade close to like half the shit coins you're trading on a
Mhm.
day-to-day basis.
All right, all right. But I don't know, like maybe it's just like a trader mindset. Like, I just don't want to buy the top bar. Like, like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, it depends on like a lot of factors.
Mm,
But
okay.
I think that's like a very very small concern on your overall list of concerns, like, or your if you have like a checklist going into this as to deciding like whether you buy or whether you don't buy.
Uh-huh.
um the market, the housing market cycle should be very very low on the list of like what you're looking at.
All
and
right.
uh, and it's way more comfortable to round trip on your house
Yeah.
Mm,
than on your crypto holdings.
mm,
Yeah, like I think that the main thing is just like it, again, it's like an asset that you're using for personal utility, right? So
mm.
it's far more important that like you think the purchase is good, relatively speaking, to like your needs, rather than like the inherent like fiat
Right,
value of the asset like 5 or 10 years from now. That is like pretty secondary.
right. I should just look at it like fashion then. Like, oh, I bought this nice piece of jacket. Oh wait, the secondary market went down like $200. Who cares, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
or like I'm like I guess like watches or
yeah,
women's handbags or whatever.
yeah,
It's there are people that like are actually actively like trading those markets that are like
yeah,
in it for profit.
yeah,
Um, but if you're like inexperienced and you want to get in, you just like want like a nice watch or a nice bag. Just like I think the number one advice is just like figure out like what works for you and uh what you want rather than like
mm,
the retention of value or like the actual stage in the market you're in.
mm. All right, advice has been obtained.
From real estate GCR, huh?
Yeah, real estate GCR. Yes.
Yeah. So before we let you go today, I feel like we should talk a little bit more about crypto. So, like, one final topic.
Yeah.
Do you have a general outlook on crypto as a whole? I guess in the next like end of year to maybe 1 year. Like, I know that there's a lot of prevailing narratives happening, like the what's going on with the Bitcoin ETF. Are there going to be inflows? Going to be outflows? The U.S. presidential election, potentially ETH or Solana ETFs.
Mm,
The Gox coins. Like there's a lot of stuff that's either like supply
mm.
overhang or that needs to be sold, or there's like huge potential inflows and stuff like that. Do you have like a general view as to what you think will happen?
Yeah. So this is, I think, one of my uh, my biggest weakness is like this kind of views because like I've always traded on like day to day, week to week at most. I think.
Short term stuff, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe at most like 1 or 2 months. Like I don't think I've ever had a trade where I'm like, yeah, like Q4 is gonna pop, like, and we're in Q2 right now. Like that's never happened. But
Hmm.
overall, I do tend to think that people are over exaggerating like the top signals. Because if
Hmm.
you go by like relatively cycle by cycle, like DeFi summer was way like absolutely crazy,
Hmm.
even for like people who went through 2017, right? And they were like, "Yo, this is crazy!" Like, and then when the first DeFi pullback, everyone was shorting, like
Yeah.
so relatively, like I think we're kind of similar in that, like, yeah, celebs are popping in, and that's like to me just about like as crazy as like 2021, if not like even a bit less, just because like we don't have that stimmy checks, we don't have like that kind of stuff, right? So I think my views are really weak, by the way, just because like I'm an absolute retard when it comes to like just kind of like macro view, because I know
Hmm.
nothing about macro. I didn't even know Trump's was favored until like GCR said it, and I'm like, yeah, I have to trust like politics GCR or like literally
Politics
him side, like
GCR.
he is literally the go of politics, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, Trump won. I'm like, okay, yeah, Trump won, guys, yeah, like like I don't know anything about like, and he's gonna somehow pump the markets. I heard like apparently it's super bullish, and he's like confirmed at this point. Basically, they could even assassinate him. He, my bro,
True.
literally
Yeah.
turned his head and it's like just nailed it, right? Like it's so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't have too much view. I think I heard like a third of the Gox coins are bought out, and then like something like that, and then it's like,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they're gonna sell, right? They're definitely in for a profit too. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like the last few weeks were definitely a bit more like shorter and like less allocated, and then like, this week inflows were really strong so far.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been really promising. At least like for the first time, we have like a 30% like pullback where like TradFi bros are like, yeah, we're bidding like 200 mil inflow, 300 mil inflow. So that's like impressive, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like at some point, I think people were talking about like, oh, if we have a 30% pullback, the ETF bros are going to start panic selling or something.
Yeah.
And we didn't really see too much of that, right? So that's pretty strong to me. Yeah, but I'm always like on crypto, I'm always like softly perma bullish, I guess. I definitely am like definitely do call cycle tops. Like last cycle, I kind of
Yeah.
did, and like definitely do get bearish. But yeah, I guess I think we're still like somewhat pre. Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah,
I recently had like a kind of bearish ever since we hit like uh over 70K Bitcoin, and like a lot of the events made me like a bit bearish, and then like I would post about it like when Bitcoin is trading at like on like say it's like 68K, and
Mm.
then you would just have people like I don't really have that big of a following on Twitter, just like mostly people I know and stuff like that. But then like I do have just like randoms like calling me an idiot and saying like look at this bottom signal, like look at this loser and stuff like that.
Yeah. Look at him.
So rough, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get like you get a small following, but they're very quick to insult you.
Yeah,
That's
that
good.
they're really
Yeah.
quick to insult me. But
Yeah.
like but then there was like a pullback. Like Bitcoin went down to like 55K, and I just like went back one day and just like tweeted everyone that said I was about it, like checking in
Yeah.
on them,
Then the
and then half of them
QRTs goes hard. Yeah.
half of them blocked me. I noticed
Yeah.
was was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One final question.
Yeah.
So, if you were to describe yourself, what GCR would you be?
Uh, maybe I don't know, lifestyle GCR, just because like
Lifestyle GCR.
yeah, because like I don't know, I think I just live my own fantasy, my own world. Do absolutely do not care about anyone's opinion on what I'm doing. Literally in my bubble, very moisturized and like in a hotel right now as we speak.
Moisturized dice.
Yeah, actually, first time at I'm at the right now, first time staying. Probably a decent review at end of the stay. Yeah, I do. I still haven't explored even all the hotels because I'm pretty like autistic in the way that I need to do the same thing. So if like
Yeah.
if I go to a new hotel, like wait, where do I go to get coffee and breakfast again? Oh, I have
Yeah.
to go here now. Like it's like a kind of like a I don't know, habit break. So I was like staying at like some other hotel for like a month. Whenever I go, I was there. So yeah.
Is there like a favorite hotel or like a hotel chain that you favor or that you would stay above all else?
Lifestyle
Uh,
GCR.
I'm curious because I also am a bit of a hotel connoisseur.
uh, so I've not stayed at too much like chain hotels. Honestly, I've always preferred
Oh,
like
okay.
the medium, smaller brands. Um,
Okay.
I guess I was impressed by like Pendry's service when I was like checking in. Just
Uh-huh.
like I had three massive jack dudes like protecting me, opening the door, and then carrying my like luggage up. I was like, wow, even Four Seasons didn't do this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of Pendry, but they don't. They only have like I don't know, like five branch or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I yeah, I'm like honestly, yeah, nothing, yeah, nothing too notable. And like Marriott stole my unisocks because I just have it like a
Oh
package
no.
there, physical one. It was worth 80 grand when it was like thrown away by them. Um, yeah, I just literally had it on my like desk, but it literally just looked like a cardboard box that's like empty because like it weighs so little. They literally thought
Yeah.
it was trash and threw it out. I'm like, dude, we need to go to the like trash like truck right now to get it back. It's a highly valuable personal item, and they're like, oh, it's gone, bro. Like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they don't remember what they threw away. I'm like, all right, I'm never coming back. Like, yeah, yeah.
I'm a pretty big almond maximalist. I like all the almond properties a lot. I don't know if you stayed in any
Ooh,
of them, but they're really really nice. Like
I've only
there's only like two or three that like I disliked, and I've been to quite a few of them.
I've only been to one in New York, and I didn't even stay there. I just went there for I went to the bar, and then I went to the restaurant in it, and then because my friend was staying there, and he showed me around, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's very impressive. I'm not paying
Yeah,
like 5 grand a day. Cool. Like I'm not like hyper
but,
wealth.
that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
they are
yeah,
like very overpriced.
yeah.
But yeah,
Especially for me, like I'm not hyper wealth, and I do this every day. Like I literally cannot do 5-10 grand like that kind of stuff every day for years, right? So it's just like yeah.
and then the next bull market, and then next bull market, we'll
Yeah,
get you a
or
place
you
that,
can like give me your
um,
credit card. We'll
well,
see.
we
I'll try.
actually, me and Andreas had a friend like the last bull market that he was living in Tokyo at the time, and then he moved to like numbers were just going up. He was trading and making, like whatever amount a day.
Mm.
And then he I think he had like a small like apartment and he just like moved. It was during COVID. So, like the hotels were like pretty empty. And then he just moved to like a 5-star hotel and just lived there for 6 months. And then he would like walk back to his condo and do laundry every week, but then just like go back to the hotel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next cycle.
Sounds like my dream. Yeah. Except I just give them my laundry and like they overcharge me by like $200. Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually telling me that they would like send him an invoice and he would have his billing address on it, and they would look at his billing address and they were like,
It was next door.
You live next door to this place and you've just been here for like 6 months.
Yeah. We can dox him. It was a Ritz-Carlton in Tokyo.
Yeah, it was the Ritz-Carlton in Tokyo. And yeah.
Wow. Wait, how much was it in COVID? Like what, $250 a night? I can't imagine.
He told me he paid like around $500 a night for 6 months straight.
Oh wow! Even during COVID, it was 500.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
he was on the
for like 1,000 or 2,000 a night. I think there.
He was on the FTX leaderboard. He was fine.
Yeah.
He was fine then. I think he's like no longer fine now. The FTX leaderboard doesn't have as much value as it used to.
I'm just doing like around between maybe like 300 to 1K. That varies a lot.
Yeah. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's all the topics. I had a few, but we've already gone like quite some time. Andreas, is there anything you wanted to add or?
No, I think the lifestyle GCR is pretty tough to top.
Kat, do you have any other topics you want to cover before we go today?
Yeah, I'll bring it up in the next pod. Yeah.
Next pod. Oh, that
next
means
pod. Yeah.
Part two.
We're pre. Yeah.
We'll be more prepared for that one. We'll chat about it beforehand. Today we just sort of like we just came in and started chatting about like whatever we wanted to talk about, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's all we have for today. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.